It's the Suncast Podcast, covering the Sun Conference and all its sports.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to episode 2, season 3 of Suncast. My name is Reagan Harold. That's Manny Burrows. And Manny, Sun Conference Media Days, they're underway, and I'd say they are a success. We're getting started with women's soccer. That's on Sun Conference YouTube. Those are up. Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Monday evening, as Manny and I are recording. We're going to record and get this one right out to you. This is fresh off the stove. Fresh off the grill, fresh off the black top.
Yes.
Getting cooking. I got to tell you something. I got a new utensil for cooking, and it's the best. I got a pellet grill. Now, I don't know what you know about pellet grills, Manny Burrows, but they're kind of like any other smoker. You have wood, you put wood in, you put meat on the grill. Then you figure out the rest from there. These pellet grills are the best. This is not an ad, not an ad sponsor.
I'm about to say not sponsored, but you got to just do it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
But if you stumble across a Pit Boss or a Traeger, those are the ideal ones. Man, I made some chicken last night, son. I threw down. Now. It
hit different. It hit different for sure.
Chicken thighs with a little salt, a little pepper. More coming, promise. And I've got it's called a Kinder. It's called Kinder's is the brand. Used the buttery steakhouse seasoning. Seasoned both sides well, then some red pepper flakes and a little honey. A little sweet.
Have a little honey in there. Yeah, just enough to be able to say, ooh, just enough to taste it and say, oh, I heard it. I heard it. I felt that one.
Suncast recipe book I'll be dropping for the holidays.
Honestly, we might have just gone into the next market, the next revenue for us. Suncast recipe book. I love it, especially for those tailgates, for those long days out on
there it
the field.
is. Tailgates. There we go.
This is what we're doing. This is how we start. This is how ideas start. You just start talking and things just start clicking.
Well, we are definitely about our bag here at Suncast. And speaking of a bag, the Sun Conference women's soccer bag, it runs deep. And that is what this episode is going to be about. We're going to talk about Sun Conference women's soccer. Media Days just came out. If you are listening on the audio side of things, so our Spotify and our iPodcast listeners, this is the first episode of the season. We did a kind of, we knocked the rust off with the YouTube episode, had the interview with Dustin Wilkie on YouTube. We had some issues with our back end, our technical side with getting audio episodes up. We have taken care of that, so we're all good to go on posting this. So if you are listening on the audio side, the end of this, there will be that interview with Dustin Wilkie. If you're on the YouTube, it's the last one. It's just last episode. Go, click it, go. Yeah. Manny, so a few sports get me as excited for Sun Conference as women's soccer. Now, of course, baseball is a big one. Baseball does good. Swimming and diving. We've got our own little Red Banner collection happening down in South Florida. But women's soccer, Manny, something we have not seen that we feel like it's on the doorstep. It's got to happen. Now, of course, Keiser won a national championship recently, but that was just a few months before the start of Suncast a couple of years ago. We saw a couple years, 2 years ago, we did live coverage up in Alabama when that insane Keiser team went on its run and was unfortunately upset 3-2 by Spring Arbor. And this year, Manny, we got a pissed off Keiser. We have got a motivated Southeastern. We have a St. Thomas Bobcat team that has kicked the door down and has made the big three, now a big four. And Manny, speaking of big three, they got a big three in Savannah that could be up for a historic year if they continue on the trajectory that they have. Manny, what are some of the things you're most excited for the 2024 Sun Conference season in women's soccer?
The first thing I am excited for is the fact of, obviously last year and I'll still be with volleyball, but I'll be able to actually follow the soccer scene this year. Last year was a little bit more of a poke in my head here and there, helping you out where you needed it. So now for me to be able to really sit down and take in these games and understand what's going on in the entire conference, I'm really excited for that. As the teams, it's like you say, I'm glad that the year that I really started kind of following it was the year that the Bobcats really just punched through that big three and did make it a big four that down the stretch there, making up some big games. I think, believe it or not, I'm really excited to see what Keiser does with the reset, but we've seen that their resets tend to be very, very effective and very, very productive very, very quickly. So I think I'm excited for that for the most part, because a program like Keiser, where you look at them and for them to say that last year was a down year, and then to turn around and say, we're going to hit the reset button. We're not even going to try and just sugarcoat and be like, oh, it's a one-off, we'll keep it pushing. No. Hard reset. Here we go. Let's refocus and realize what has gotten us to be so consistent in the past few years. I do think SCAD is going to have that target on their back. I think it's very, very warranted. I think they earned it. I'm not surprised that they were the number one in the coaches preseason poll, and I'm gonna let you have the floor with talking about them, because I know you love you some bees. But I think that the Seahawks are the team that intrigues me the most out of that big four, that we're really gonna be keeping an eye on that race throughout the conference this year.
Well, you said it, man, and we'll get to SCAD in a second. Keiser is so interesting this year, and really coming out of media day, it was for that reason. I want you to elaborate a little bit more. You got to talk with Gabby and Coach Matt Dunn. Man, I feel very confident in saying that this Keiser group, it's going to be what we saw 2 years ago. It's going to be what we saw when they did win the national championship. It's going to be a hard reset. Matt Dunn's not one of those, not a coach by any stretch of the imagination. For him to say that, I'm going to take it very literally. And I expect them to be competing for a national championship. But Manny, coming out of that media day with Coach and Gabby, what do you think that hard reset's going to look like?
I think it was more of a reset internally. Obviously you're gonna have in some newcomers, and you're gonna have your returners. But for the most part, I think that they just want to refocus and be a little bit more consistent. I think that they felt like there were times throughout the year where they didn't necessarily capitalize on moments that they should have. Again, still a team that ended up being ranked by the end of the year, still a team that was a contender when the postseason came around. But I think that coach felt like there were pivotal moments throughout the year. I actually can vividly remember that game against St. Thomas at Keiser, where the Bobcats really gave them a run for their money. And I believe the Bobcats even won that game. And then you turn around end of the season at St. Thomas to try and get that game back, and you lose 1-0. Again, it was St. Thomas' senior night, so definitely have that element in the air. But overall, again, it was a one. I remember that goal because I was there. It was a one through ball that Gabriel Semino just got a foot onto it in time, and it went to the back of the net. And I felt like that was the type of example that the Seahawks had throughout the year last year. That's how they felt the year went, where they were there, but one mistake here, one unlucky bounce there kind of hurt them in the long run. And I think that this year they just want to have a cleaner season. They want to have a season where they control what they can control, and even the things that they can't control, they're not going to let them get to them. They're not going to let it kind of derail them throughout the year. They're going to stick with the mission and understand it is a marathon. It's not a race, but they understand that the start and being clean throughout that race is what's going to end up giving them the best chance when a postseason comes around, and that eventual Sun Conference run. And like you said, that national run is definitely in their plans for the future.
You mentioned that marathon part there, Manny. I kind of just want to tell all the women's soccer teams, like, hey, I'll beat up on each other so hard this year. I feel like last year it was a war, and it's going to be a war. If you obviously joking there with that statement, but man, I really want to see look up. We get to the quarterfinals. I want to see two teams in the NAI quarterfinals. I would love to have two teams in the semifinals. Obviously, that's a lofty goal, and the percentages of there being that quarterfinal matchup. If you look there on the other football side, we saw there, in my opinion, there was no doubt that Keiser or St. Thomas, that could have been a semifinal or a national championship football matchup. But we saw that matchup in the quarterfinals, where it's very likely that could happen between a Southeastern St. Thomas, SCAD, or a Keiser. This is going to be a marathon, though, and I think there's a lot of teams that have realized that. Specifically SCAD, which we'll get into that, and just call it what it is. They're opening round disappointments the last couple of years, and looking to build on that. Manny, my player down in West Palm Beach, and I think probably one of the most important players in the Sun Conference this year is going to be Sierra Uko, middle midfielder for the Seahawks, entering her third year. Her first 2 years we've seen, or between her freshman year in 22 and her sophomore year in 23, we saw an increase in minutes. We saw an increase in production. We saw on the field her start to step in a very big role there in the midfield, and where there have been the best The best Keiser teams have had a defensive-minded midfielder that makes it almost impossible to get through into that the middle of their back line. Now, of course, their back line is going to be very important. Again, this year, someone that we talked a lot about last year, I'm obviously a big fan of it, is Georgia Little. I think that she's one of the best wingbacks in the country. Her coming back, her what she'll provide on defense, as well as offense on the attack, will be huge. And I think that those two are come to mind. Obviously, up top, you talked to Gabby, who's now in her third year. I think so. I don't think I know my overall thing coming into 2024 for Keiser is okay. The sophomores who had that jump between sophomore to junior year, that is widely regarded across college athletics as the big year, that big jump. What do those sophomores do to make that jump? And then what happens in goal for the Seahawks? Will Zara, the freshman turning into a sophomore, will she be back in goal, or what will the plans be? Was there any talk about what was going to happen in goal for the Seahawks in y'all's interview? I can't remember off the top of my head, Manny.
No, there wasn't really any talks about it. I think that they were more focused on the ones out on the pitch to allow things and to develop things. Because again, I feel like that's just the biggest thing coming out of that conversation. Because I was doing my research for that interview, I noticed going into October, the team had a record of 2-2-1. Like they did not look like they were really kind of gearing up for something, and then they ran off 7 in a row, and that run is what really kind of propelled them into that final push of being okay. Seahawks have found their groove. Now they're that dangerous team we expected them at the beginning of the year. I just think that they're more focused on the beginning of, like you said, those sophomore, junior leaps. They really want to have that internal jump as opposed to necessarily going out recruiting, because we know they can recruit, but I think they really wanted to change their mindset. No, we're going to keep it in-house for the most part and just bank on these players developing. And I think that's been the biggest thing for coach and the staff overall.
Manny, let's travel south of West Palm Beach before we talk about some of the other top contenders in the conference. Well, I guess we'll start out. I know you're big on St. Thomas again this year. They shot on the scene. They were a top 20 team last year, making it now an official Big Four in the Sun Conference. So, Manny, sell me on St. Thomas, because while for it being a Big Four, I still think there's a 1, 2, 3 and a slight step, maybe a little motivation for the Bobcats there, but sell me on it. Why is this a 4-team race and not a 3-team race?
So I'm going to sell you on a different point. I'm going to say it like this. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. St. Thomas is the 4th, but that's why they're the most dangerous. If they were picked as one of the top 3, then I don't think they have the opportunity to shock people. But because they're in that 4th spot, because they're in that area where you think that they can do something, but you're not really sure why, that's why they make some of the most dangerous. I remember them going to SCAD last year, and Gabriela Semino, who had arguably the best year in the conference for a first-timer for one of those teams, put that goal in the back of the net so early in that game, and it kind of just gave the Bobcats life. It kind of shocked this Bees. It even shocked me to watching that game because of just how quickly it happened. And I think that's what the Bobcats thrived off of. They thrived off making the most out of their moments in front of them. Gabriela Semino, again, she is going to be the spearhead. I think last year she caught some teams by surprise in the sense of, and when I say that more so because maybe teams didn't know about her. She definitely was coming with some pedigree. She definitely was coming as a player, as a flat out baller. But I do think this year, yeah, I was about to come out. I had to remember what sport we're talking about. But I think that now she's going to have a lot more focus. But I think that's going to open up her game. She's very, very willing of playing the decoy, so to speak, of playing those wingers, playing the through balls, coming back to get the ball to then allow the over the top ball to play because you have so much pressure from that back 4. So I think that's going to open up players like Claudia Rodriguez, who's going to be able to come back from her injury that she wasn't able to finish the season out. I think that's a big bring back for the Bobcats. I also think about Velasquez in the midfield. The Bobcats are returning a lot of the midfield, which I think is just very, very important in soccer, where you're talking about men's or women's. If you don't have a lot of turnover in your midfield, and you just kind of build around that, it's so important. Natalie Woodward, Rebecca Lewis in the back 4. I think she had a stellar freshman year. Now I think she was the next coming in a sense of she's going to take over what Opalan kind of left. You know, that was her final year. That's definitely going to be a big loss for the Bobcats. But Rebecca Lewis proved to make big stops in the transition, the big stops when her team needed her the most. And in the goal, Isabella Panaret, she had, again, arguably one of the best years for a goalkeeper in the net. They're banking on the fact of continuity is a thing. They're banking on having one of the best goal scorers in the conference. And I also think they're banking on teams expecting them to take a step back, which is why, again, I say them being the fourth best team in the conference, which I think they are. And again, this is me being a Bobcat fan through and through. I think they are the fourth best team in the conference, but that is also why they're the most dangerous, because teams might think, you know what? They're not going to do it again. They're not going to do it to the same caliber when all they need is one opportunity. And in 5 minutes, there could be a goal in the back of the net for the Bobcats. And you're like, what just happened? And now they've got momentum. They've got confidence. And that's when they're going to be the most dangerous.
Well, I'd love for that to be the case, Manny, because I for them to add on, it would just make it even more definitive. Hey, this is going to be the toughest conference in the NAI for another season in the sport of women's soccer. Other thing is, dude, I think this big the three teams that we talked about, Southeastern, Keiser, and SCAD, they're going to be deadly this year. I think they're 3 top 10 teams. I know they're 3 top 10. They will be 3 top 10 teams. Let's talk about another one, Southeastern. Manny, why they will be a top 3 team is going to be what they bring back in the midfield. You mentioned it. They have Lozano coming back, who was a very dynamic, she was clinical in front of net and in the midfield. Remember, it was a Southeastern team getting that 2-0 win against Keiser last year in Lakeland that really set things off. Now they do have to replace production in net. They will have to get a new goalkeeper. I believe we'll have a good position battle there. Now there's 2 sophomores on their roster who will likely be competing for that. But looking in that midfield, got Michaela Petticourt coming back for her final season there in Lakeland, a very well-known name in the Sun Conference. Manny, you got to talk to Coach Roberts and the Fire, and you talked with Madeline Davidson, correct?
Correct.
Another midfielder, junior there for Southeastern. What do you think about the Fire? Because I look at that midfield, and then I look up top, and you got somebody like Katie Carnes up top, who was very clinical last year. You have her, you have Ramsey Watkins in the back. Like, this is going to be a very, very solid team again this year. A lot of returning production, and you bring in that much returning production, not just that much returning production, but that level. Good Lord, man, those 3 midfielders I just listed off right there, getting their 3rd year playing together. This is going to be a very dangerous team in Lakeland.
I think the biggest thing, like you said, you're returning 3 out of the 4 all-conference members from last year for the Fire. So already you're off to a great start. Madeline, I think, and I mentioned to her in the interview, she had a very big jump, I would say, in the offensive side of things. She went from 2 goals before the last season to 11 just last year alone. So I think she's going to take a bigger role in the sense of being more of a playmaking offensive threat. And I think that's going to lead to more opportunities for her team. Coach also was talking a lot about the adversity they faced. You know, the weather hasn't been too kind to them in Lakeland of the past 2 years, really. You know, talking about on the interview, you guys got to go check it out. He mentioned that he got up, I think, the day of the interview for a 6 a.m. conditioning test. He got up at 4:45, started to rain. The ladies had to wait for a lightning delay. There was a small window. Ran out, did their stuff. There may have been some puddles, there may have been some running in water, but they did their thing and they kept it pushing. So I think that's what I got from our interview with Coach Roberts and Madeline. The adversity they faced off the pitch is what they're definitely going to bring out onto the pitch. It's going to be such a gritty season for the women's scene in the Sun Conference when it comes to soccer, that those are the type of minds. That's the type of mindset you have to have. If you don't go in there understanding that they're going to throw your best punch, you have to be able to take it and throw it right back and keep going for 90 minutes, because you let up for 1 second. If you don't keep your foot on that gas, the other team will capitalize on it. And even though we're talking about these 4 teams, and rightfully so, there are going to be, we each have our pick of what the back 4 are going to have to say about trying to get into that playoff hunt, get into that mix. And they're going to be another team just like the ones that we're talking about here, where the adversity they've faced for the past few years, they definitely have some Baltimore material. They hear about all the talks about, this being a 4-team race and all this other stuff. Not just us, the polls come out every weekend, is shows everybody. They all see it. They all saw the coaches' preseason poll. But for Southeastern, I think it's just the mindset thing that I'm very intrigued with them, understanding what they've been through, understanding that another team that's returning a lot of people, they've felt that. They understand that they've been kind of put behind the 8 ball, but they don't make excuses. They keep it pushing, and that's why they're one of the most dangerous teams, I think, this year for sure.
Well, Manny, the team predicted to win the Sun Conference this season are the SCAD Bees. Last year, they won the Sun Conference tournament, first time in 13 years. You got to mention the media day interviews again. Got to talk about that with Coach Rebecca Gunn, how much that meant to her and the program. Manny, I'm not going to spend too much talking about the big three. Y'all know who they are. You know that trio, and I think for the most part, we know what we're going to get. We're going to get 15 assists from that 15, 20-ish assists, maybe a little bit more. That combination of Sadal, Summer, and Chura. We're going to get 30-something goals. Cool. That's going to happen. For me, is what has this team done for when they get into the opening round, when they get in those big moments, chance to punch their ticket into the final site to get to Alabama. What's going to be done to prepare that team there? Another big question for them is Berglund Bowder's daughter, no longer with the team. She graduated. Now they do have some returning production there in the midfield. Of course, they have Lane Lieberman coming back. They have Ida, I always mess up, Ida Atkinson, I believe that's right. Hope that's right. Coming back, and I'm sure that they'll have some good freshmen. The back line is going to be solid again. Mia Nelson's back with the team. Of course, Haley Lander, senior. She's big, huge, fellow captain of Abigail Sadal. She'll be in the back. Return their goalkeeper, and we've seen that's a very competitive position there. It's at SCAD. But yeah, for me, it's like, I know this team is going to be good. I know they're going to be elite in the Sun Conference, but for me, like I've seen Keiser even last year by underachieving air quote for the audio listeners down in West Palm Beach. I mean, this was still a team that when it got time to play their best soccer, they played their best soccer. And when it's time for SCAD to play their best soccer, they didn't. And I think we all know if SCAD plays their best soccer, this is a team that could 100% be in Alabama playing quarterfinals, semifinals, competing for a red banner. Now, of course, it would be storybook that front three that this is the year they make it to Alabama, and this is the year they make that push, but it's got to happen. And if not, for me, like I don't want to be a pessimist, but like, Manny, if not this year, when? When's it? When could it happen there in Savannah with that group? I think it's that simple. But however, Manny, that being said, I think it does happen this year for SCAD in a very tough competitive conference. I think this group has learned now how to navigate it so that when they get into the national tournament, they're fresh. They've got everything that they'll need, and they'll and when I say that, I mean like they'll be physically, mentally prepared for that moment, for those big games. And I think this is the year they make the national tournament. And I said it last year, I say it again. I think the goal for this conference is to have 3 teams in the national tournament. Have 3, not national tournament, 3 teams in the final site. That should be our goal. Last year we did not do that. Year before, Keiser's run was don't be wrong, SCAD and Southeastern top 10 team, sure, a couple of years ago, but Keiser, put the conference on his back, like, we're going to win 20 something games, and we'll take care of it. I think we see a lot more diversity this year. I don't see any team making it through this conference without at least 2 losses. And it's partly in part, we're going to talk about some of these other schools that have improved greatly. But Manny, you look at this top 4, these are the 4 Sun Conference title contenders. If Weber, Warner, Flomo, Ave, or New College of Florida win it, I think it's fair to say that's a shock. We'll talk about them here in just a minute. But Manny, before we talk about some of those other teams and what it'll take for them to reach that level, who's going to do it? Who's going to come out on top?
For me, I don't want to go SCAD just because I think that they're the obvious pick. And I think, and I know you're gonna rock with them. So for the storyline, for the plot, I'm gonna go with. Unfortunately, I'm gonna go with Keiser. I think
Oh,
Keiser. I just think we've seen it done. They've done it in the past. They've hit the reset button after a down year, and then they've done it exceedingly better than any team can do. I've never seen really a program be able to just turn around like that. Again, I'm rooting for the Bobcats. Don't get it wrong. I think the Fire have a great chance. I do think Scat is the team to beat, but something about listening to Coach in our interview during media day just really got me to understand that he was focused, like he was locked in during that interview. He's locked in in these preseason and camp workouts and everything. So I think when your idea is just we got to get back to what we were and not necessarily we got to add this, we got to do this, we got to bring this person in. You just literally have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, let's get back to who we are. I think that's the most dangerous team in any sport and in any conference, no matter what you're talking about, because now it's a matter of, can you do what you say you're going to do? And if that's the case, if your own worst enemy is yourself, that also means if you can get past that person, you're going to be in good shape that down the stretch of the season.
got our first hot take of the year, Manny. Those 4 teams we just mentioned, one of those 4 teams will not be in the Sun Conference tournament semifinals. I believe that the Florida Memorial Lions and Coach Mark Lou Young are going to make the conference tournament for the first time. And I think there will be an upset. I think this is, and let me rephrase. Instead of saying that, I'll say one of those 4 teams will not finish in the top 4. How about that? Instead of the conference tournament, because they went with them first time being in a tournament, it doesn't get a little shaky. But I'm all in on Flomo. And if they're not, I don't think they'll crack a top 3. If they do, then it's like, okay, now there's a serious problem going down at the same time. It's like, this is a team that's going to be a national title contender very soon. And I wouldn't put it past them. There's not many coaches in the conference. And I said this last year when he was on. I preached it last year when he was on. There's not a coach I'm putting more stock in than Mark Lou Young. As far as just a young coach in the Sun Conference with a program that abysmal. Like when the start of Suncast, this was not a competitive team in this conference. It just wasn't. And now it is almost overnight. Like one season, this team went from whoa to wow. And I think they're going to continue to develop that this year. I think they're going to win a couple more games in the conference. They've got to score more. Their defense, what they were defensive heavy last year, which is, that's what you want. And I hope to see that returning production. But they've got to put balls in the back of the net. Talk to Coach Young in the media day. That was something that was their biggest emphasis. We got to get balls in net, and of course that is a lot easier said than done, because we did just talk about some of the defenders they're going to have to do that against in the Sun Conference. But yeah, man, I'm all in on Flomo. Give me all the Flomo stock. I want it. I'll live and die with it.
My team is that will crack the top 4 if we're gonna keep that trend going. I might be look at the preseason poll, people will be like, oh, he's just picking them because they're the next one. But I had Ave before the coaches preseason poll came out. I really do like Ave, but I will say for any of these teams, Flomo, Ave, Weber, Warner, New College, you want to crack that top 4. The difference is, like you mentioned, the scoring, because the top 4 teams all had 40 or more goals. The next highest team from last year's season was Ave with 25. Like, that's a significant jump. So all these teams are going to have to be able to put the ball in the back of the net when the opportunity arises. And defensively, that is going to be the next step as well. Because again, the top 4 teams all had the lowest total saves in the conference. It's sometimes it's just as clear cut as that. We score more and we stop the ball from going in the back of our net. And if these teams can do it, I think that Ave is the team to do it. I think they were, like I said, they were next in the line when we were talking about the scoring side of things right after the top 4 teams with 25 last year. They were 3rd fewest goals allowed last season. I think that they had some very good games against those top 4 teams. They all had all losses were 2 goals or less, including a win actually over St. Thomas. So I think that they were just primed for it, to have returning second team all conference members in Rachel Dalton and Emma Schwarzer. So I think they have what it takes. And I think they're kind of flying under the radar. Again, the coaches gave them the 5th seed. So maybe not as under the radar as I thought, but they're my dark horse to crack that top 4 and say, hey guys, we're here. don't count us out, because if we get home court, or home field, I should say, in that first round, things get a little dicey, and before you know it, we might be somewhere that people didn't pick us to be in. And I think that's why I'm going to go with the Gyrenes as my dark horse pick to crack that top 4.
Yeah, look, right here, my backyard, Weber Warner, Manny, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Weber and Warner this year, and not from a talent standpoint. I think these are both teams that if they were in just about any other conference or making the conference tournament, maybe even win a tournament game. I think the biggest thing for both of those coaches, though, is going to be what they get in between the post. Many of y'all know, used to be a keeper back in the day. Let me tell you, you strap them gloves on, you're always a keeper. It's that mentality. It's that mentality. But when you talk about teams in this position, Manny, who maybe they're a little outgunned in the field, the great equalizer in this sport is what you get in between the sticks. What can those teams' respective goalkeepers do to one, keep their back line organized against the attacks that we've talked about, and two, just stop shots and play mistake-free soccer. That's going to be some of the big things for me. We've seen all these teams, we've seen Weber and Warner against all of these teams win games, have competitive matchups. Saw Weber keep it close with SCAD. Saw Weber tie with SCAD, or not SCAD, but Southeastern before. Same with the Warner. It's not crazy to say these teams picking up wins here or there, but my big thing for these teams, make the conference tournament. I think that should be the main goal for those now 5 teams. Talking about New College of Florida, who we'll get into here in just a second. Those 5 teams, if I'm Ave, Weber, Warner, Flomo, New College of Florida, if I'm playing one of those other 4 teams, got to get 3 points. You got to get 3 points. Just being realistic, it's going to be hard to get a point, much less 3 points against the other 4 teams that have got a nice little number sitting next to their name right now. So you got to get the ones that you can get, make the conference tournament, see if something can shake. Because let's look at basketball. Look at Sun Conference men's basketball. Nobody thought that 5 teams were going to get in that national tournament until we saw 5 teams get it. And if there's any conference to get 5 teams in the women's soccer tournament, it would be the Sun Conference. So if you take care of business against those other teams and then get a couple of results against the Big 4 now, you put yourself in a prime position to make the national tournament, which ultimately is the goal. Win the conference tournament, cool, all that, but you want to get the national tournament and compete for a red banner. Manny, one last thing before we end the episode on YouTube and kick it over to Dustin Wilkie on the audio side of things. You got to talk to New College of Florida and the media day. What were your takeaways with the Banyans?
Just new blood. They're bringing new things again. If y'all know about the bricks, it was probably my favorite thing out of Women's Soccer Media Day. Please let me know if you guys know what I'm talking about down in the comments. But it was just a nice thing or just a good feeling that I have adding New College in. Not a bad team at all. They already played a lot of these teams as it is, so I think it should be a mental thing for them. You've played these teams before. You got some good competition, good tests against these teams. Ain't nothing different. Only difference now is that when you go into your schedule on the website, there's a Sun Conference logo next to this game. That's the only difference. You're playing against the same team. It's going to be a mental thing for them. Obviously, they're going to be credited with the element of surprise. I do think that the coaching staff is going to have these ladies ready to go. And these ladies, again, they are taking this challenge of being the first team, being the first players in the conference for New College in stride, head on. And I think that's going to be a dangerous opponent for anybody. Top 4, middle of the pack, whoever that they play throughout the year.
Manny, here's my prediction. I'm going to pick the SCAD Bees to win the regular season, and I'm going to pick the Southeastern Fire to win the Sun Conference tournament this year.
I'll give you Keiser regular season, and I'm going to go with SCAD for the conference tournament.
There we go. We're all over the place. So
I love it.
St. Thomas, there's that bulletin board material.
Just know I love y'all. Just know I love y'all, and I'm rooting for y'all. Just know
you're picking Keiser. You're going to be a real popular man on campus tomorrow.
Oh man, moving day's going to be tough.
Yeah. Manny, that's it for Sun Conference Women's Soccer. Next episode, we'll talk some men's soccer. Have that come out probably Thursday or Friday. We'll get a set schedule for the year soon. Probably. I really like what we do with the NAISB, where we did Tuesday, Friday. We may do something a little different for the fall with Suncast, but we'll figure that out. But A couple housekeeping things before we kick it over to Dustin Wilkie on the audio, and for the YouTube, we'll just send you into your week. One, got a new co-host. Come here, Marsh. Come here, buddy. Come here, Marsh. So it's the newest intern, Manny, no longer an intern with Suncast. He's just with Suncast. So we are looking for new interns, and we've got
Oh, that's a big boy.
we got the
boy.
podcast producer himself.
He's like, I'm just waiting for somebody to start editing, and I'm just be the mascot for the logo pretty soon.
Yeah, this is boy Marsh, the border collie. He's like, Dad, I don't like on screen time.
Yeah, I'm not used to this yet. I wasn't ready.
Love my boy. Obviously, been living in an apartment down here at Weber. Couldn't have border collie in an apartment. Not really a good combo. So he's been staying with my parents, but got a house now. Growing up, and so
he's adulting. He's adulting. The guy's adulting, guys. He's adulting.
Oh man. Speaking of adulting, being a father is a part of adulting. And Steph Curry.
Oh God. I'm like, where is he going with this? You had everybody on the edge of their seats for at least 5 seconds right there. I'm not gonna lie with you. You had me
junior podcaster running around.
What is going on? You had me in the first half. Just like TUSA, you had me in the first half.
That would have made this episode numbers go through the roof.
Absolutely. Oh man. No, that was oh my God.
No,
I had missed the Serbia game, so I was already upset. But then I had just gotten back in time for those last 5 minutes. And I'm watching Steph go absolutely ballistic. And I'm thinking like each shot got progressively harder. And I saw 2 posts on, 3 posts that really hit me, but 2 about men's basketball. It was Steph Curry shooting over 2 defenders. And I've told everybody that's listened, I said, if you didn't see that shot, just understand that is the definition of like you playing your QB and you're just like, my receiver's down there somewhere and just threw it. He said, the hoop's over there somewhere. I'm just going to throw it and hope for the best, really. And the second thing was there was a stilled image of him shooting that shot. And to the left are the greatest scorer to touch a basketball in 7-foot Kevin Durant. And
nobody near him.
And one of the top 2 best players ever in basketball in LeBron James. They're open. They're open now. They said, no. They were fans. Steph gave KD that ball. He said, well, I don't want this. Take it back. I'm a fan right now. I'm watching you do you right now. It was so crazy. God,
it was the most American I felt in a while.
Oh my God.
Manny, I'm watching that. You know, basketball's not one of my main sports I watch. I mean, you know me, I'm watching baseball, I'm watching softball, I'm watching football, and then basketball comes on.
Side note, Olympics 2028 softball, baseball, we're locked in. Brother.
You know what? People want to know, people want my professional goal. My professional goal is I will be on the call for the Olympics in 2028.
Woo! I like it.
There's my professional goal, ladies and gentlemen.
4 years to get it done. Let's get it. 4 years to get it done.
That's it. I just came without on the spot. That's my goal, and that is what I am locked in on, being one of the play-by-play broadcasters for the Olympics.
For the record, and I've said it before because I'm so shocked, and this is all respect to him, but seeing Dwayne Wade as the commentator at the Olympics was not on my bingo card this summer. Like, it just was. Not saying he did a great job. I love it. I think he was awesome, but I was not expecting to hear Dwayne Wade's voice over the call. That's all I'm saying. So I like it. I like it.
Manny, I was just I was sitting out in my living room watching it, and I was over. Y'all know me. Y'all know me with sports, man. Y'all see me at Sun Conference games. I'll get into it. I'm bobbing. So this is the Olympics.
We're here. Go big or go home.
Man, I'm watching it, and I just literally, the shot goes in, and like it's just pure emotion. Just jump up, just I mean, just losing it. Like, and I'm not a Steph Curry fan. Like let me preface it. I'm not a Steph Curry fan. I'm definitely not a LeBron James fan. I'm an Atlanta Hawks basketball fan. So those 2 guys have caused pain, especially LeBron. I would say if any of the big 3, I'm a KD fan of any of them. I just am. I don't care about. We can get in the debate of the move to Golden State. I still think it's the funniest move. People get mad about it. I still think it's the funniest move in sports.
That's a new take. I've heard that one. That's a nice one.
It's hilarious. I think it's great.
Hilarious.
It's only because I got a couple buddies that were Oklahoma City fans, and they were just in hell.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were living. They were living.
They were in a hell when that happened. But no, Manny, I mean, it was the greatest basketball shot I've ever seen. And I don't think I'm being crazy. The only time a shot in basketball made me feel the way, from just a neutral perspective, like, I guess this isn't technically neutral, but I wasn't going to lose sleep if we lost to France. I'd have been pissed, but I wasn't going to lose sleep if we lost to France. Dude, I walked the Ray Allen three.
Oof,
The,
I
the
remember
Ray,
where I was.
the Ray
I
Allen,
remember where I was
yeah,
on that
yep,
shot to this day.
yep.
Oof, that's a big one.
That one where it's like, oh wow. But then this one, because it was, I mean, man, these are the three dudes we watch all our life. Even though I'm not a big basketball guy.
This is legitimately like this will be a documentary
Oh
in
yeah,
like 10 years. Like we witness history. Like there's gonna be, I don't know what the title is gonna be. You know, we've had the Redeem Team, the Dream Team. I think the Avengers is a great like
it's the event.
concept, but we got to get something with the rhyme. The rhyme's got to be there. So I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but I think no, this was from watching LeBron James just like discover America for the first time in that picture on the boat, just in front of the boat with the flag and him. It is all white with the entire Olympic crew behind. Like it was just all cinema in front of us. So no, that was such a. And especially with it being him, his first Olympic, I didn't even know that. I'm surprised it's his first Olympic. Like he's never actually won. It's his first and last one probably. So it was an absolute. That's another one we're gonna remember where we were. We're gonna remember where we were when Steph Curry hit that shot.
I'm trying to think. So there's the obvious the everybody knows the Dream Team, the Redeem Team. I don't like, something I'm gonna get on ahead of. Can we stop with the Dream Team slander? Be a lot of Dream Team slander. Hey, I get Larry Bird was 30-something years old. You know what he was still doing? Larry Bird. Larry Bird.
No,
I don't know if there is
a name that you're gonna
name
give
for it.
this. Yeah. I didn't even think that, just be honest, I didn't think they were gonna come up with Redeem Team. I thought that was great as it is. Like, I don't know if you can like top that type of thing. I really don't know if you can top that. I don't know if you can top that.
I mean,
no, it was such a my family was it was my brother's birthday that day, and they were at the Rapids Water Park in West Palm, and they were watching at the wave pool, like the big old screen. They were watching all the Olympics and all that stuff. And he said that when that shot went in, the entire pool just boom, and it was just an absolute. That's one of those shots you remember. Like that's up there with his. And obviously, I think this is a more important shot, but like his shot in 2016 from Oklahoma City when he just crossed the half court line and just pulled it with the Mike Breen double bang. That's the only thing that probably would have been better.
We need
if
the
I
Mike
get
Breen.
that's a double bang from Mike Breen. That is a bang, and we are keeping it pushing. Like that for sure. It was the only thing missing. And
I saw a great tweet. I saw a great tweet afterwards that said, if Mike Breen was there and he hit the double bang, it may have started World War III in France.
Oh, what? Absolutely. And there was another one I saw. It said, Draymond getting into the picture of Steph is just the funniest thing.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know that was Draymond.
And you want another guy there's two guys outside the big that I love now, that I just love after this. And it's one that I have not liked for a while. But as a hater myself, Draymond Green. Flew halfway across the world.
Yes.
Just to troll Rudy Gobert.
My guy, that is generational hating. Like that is Division I level. Like honestly, I respect it. I would have done the same thing. That boy smiled. He was smiling ear to ear. And nah, man, that was to see. And you saw Pippen and all of them in the front row. That was a great game. I think the women's basketball game. I think Coach Walker would be upset if I didn't mention it. That was another great game that came down to the last shot.
Oh my God, yeah.
Bro, that foot. I was like, oh my God. I really thought it was going in. But I saw a tweet about the women's team. It said, if you're under the age of 31, you've actually never witnessed the Olympic women's basketball team lose a game. And I said, oh my God, you are right. We have never actually seen that.
Yeah, what was it, 92 Olympics?
Something like that. It's been 8 Olympics in a row. I'm like, that is just domination on another level. But no, these Olympics.
They won Atlanta 96. 1000 was Athens. 04 was Sydney. Beijing.
London was 2012.
London was 12. Rio? Yeah, Rio. And then Tokyo. And so it would have been the 1992 Olympics.
Side note, can we get a round of applause for Reagan off the dome? Off the
Off the
dome,
dome.
just
Off the
getting
dome. Olympics.
Hey, all I had was Beijing, Rio, and London. That's all I had in my bag, bro. I
Bang.
was really hoping that if you messed up, it was in those three and I could save it. But
Well,
no, you had it, bro. That was all you, man.
One of my first experiences with sports, like being a fan of sports, dude, 8-year-old me, the Beijing Olympics, son, I was locked in, especially my dog Michael Phelps in the pool.
You've seen all the posts on Instagram and like TikTok and stuff about like you're following sports you never even followed before. Like I was never locked in the track like that, and I was locked in. I was locked in on it. Speed walking. I don't know about speed. Like speed walking was crazy to me. I'm looking at this from the waist up. They look like they're running. It was crazy. They had break dancing. The I don't even know. I guess the shooter that was from Turkey locked in.
Yeah.
He was locked in. He had the. I think he had the coldest Olympics. That picture is gonna be iconic. And it's already gotten me celebrations from other athletes and stuff. Like, no, yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. I'm excited. When it comes to LA in 2028, I think that's gonna be great. You know, adding these other sports, like I said, baseball. So I think softball is really gonna like pop off. I think people are gonna realize just how electrifying softball really can be.
Well,
So
how much is this game going to grow in 4 years, Manny?
What?
Like,
2028? Can you believe? Oh my God, that's 2028, man.
And you see where the NIL money's going now. It's baseball and softball starting to get their money right. I mean, Nyjah Candy, $600,000 to go to Texas Tech. That oil money. Serious.
That oil money is serious. Nah, this is
I think another thing in 2028 that's going to be electric. Flag football, dude.
Dude, all the posts of they're sending people to guard Tyreek Hill and all these people. I'm like, bro, this is gonna be.
They gotta. I don't know.
I don't think they're gonna send them. Like, I really don't think they're gonna send all the NFL players. I think maybe
you could send the second team All SEC team, and they're going to win every game by 70 points.
I think it's gonna be similar to basketball, where like we'll start with the college players, probably. You know, maybe as the game grows, then. But I could definitely see it.
So how about this to make it fair? The only football players allowed to compete in the 2028 Summer Olympics, NAIA football players.
I love it. Let's start the petition. Let's start emailing.
Any other way, Manny, it's going to be a kicking. Like it's not going to be competitive.
Give the kids a little bit more limelight. Let's do it. I love it.
Handball had me locked in. I was locked in on some handball.
I was locked in some beach volleyball. Beach volleyball was locked into. The archery. I'm sorry, but like. Holding that bow, that is not a bow. That is a machine.
Yeah.
That is I'm looking at all these things. They've got all these things hooked up to them, like their heart, like they're getting their heartbeats and stuff. I'm like, bro, this was crazy. And someone showed a picture of like the actual distance from the archers and like the target. The camera does not do it justice. That thing looks so much closer than it really was. That distance was far. I had one of my friends be like, I could do that. I'm like, no, you can't. Respectfully, no, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No. It was fun. It was a fun Olympics for sure. It
was all right. I mean, it was okay.
I think my girl told me that like they had I think we were tied with China in the gold medal count. But
I got a problem here.
Oh God. I've touched the nerve.
5 different ping pong competitions in the Olympics.
I didn't even know there were 5. I thought there were just 1.
Men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles. We don't need doubles. Yeah, we don't need doubles.
You don't need it. Are you taking out? So what are you taking out though? Because if you take out men's doubles, you got to take out women's.
Hey, solo ping pong can stay. We don't need comp. We don't need 2 people doing it.
I don't think I've ever seen a doubles ping pong match or table tennis match. I don't think I've ever seen it.
And China swept. So they got five ping pong gold medals. They also got 8 for diving. 8 for diving. Do we need 8 diving competitions?
I also saw some fencing. There are a lot of like Olympic sports.
I think diving should be in it. Do we need 8 diving competitions. I don't know. Maybe we need to have.
Hey, to be fair, we are talking about we are representing a conference right now that has diving champs. So I think we have a little bit of ability to be like, listen,
Okay, so I know we're doing in the spring. We'll have on a swim coach and be like, all right, let's explain this. But now,
yeah, I think that's the perfect thing. We're gonna throw that out into the and swimming coaches. If you're listening, be ready. Be ready for the call. We're gonna take a poll. We're gonna see what we really have to be working with here. But no, I think
USA, we win the Olympics again. We win. We're number one. Australia. Why are we beefing? Supposed to be cool here. What's the beef? It started off with just the swimmers, but now the Australian media going after our wonderful Americans over there, fighting their butts off for not too much. And here, I got one for the U.S. We beat $36K for a gold medal. And there's other countries paying like $500,000, $700,000 for their Olympians to win gold. I get we got to dish out a lot of them, but hey, do a little more than 36. Throw them a little extra cheese. Make it $100K. Ain't that much. Singapore, like 700,000. We're doing like 32. Let's up the ante. Up the ante.
It was a great summer. Overall, like I said, moving day for us is a couple days here, and then before you know, we hit the ground running and things to get into it. And we're already starting the seasons back up. All the pro sports are starting back up.
I don't know if this is the name for the 2024 Summer Olympic basketball team, but maybe. What about the standard?
The standard.
Because it took all this. We didn't exactly run away with this thing.
No, I mean,
like Serbia was tough.
And this is why, and I guess I'll bring it up. I understand why he won MVP, and I'm not saying he shouldn't have won it, but I just think those last two games really had to give Steph like a good chance at being the MVP.
I think he was just so bad before.
Yeah, and I'm like, I understand. I'm people out there. I'm not saying that it should have been Steph. All I'm saying is I think you have to give Steph like a lot of credit because like that those two performances are going to go down as arguably his best. Like he said it back in 2022, he hasn't won Olympics and now he won it. And like the commentator said, the golden boy did it in the biggest, brightest moments for the gold medal. So I think it was good. But yeah, overall, I mean, we almost lost to Sudan. You know what I'm saying? That was a big game for us. Everybody was kind of expecting a Canada-USA match at some point. We never got it. I was a little disappointed about that. Serbia, like you mentioned, that was a tough one. France was a tough one. Watching Wemby just be a problem for the next few years. I saw a post that said, why is Wemby crying? Man's going to be doing this for the next 15 years. You got plenty. Let us take this one. I was like, but I think the France crowd was also good too. I think that the atmosphere was great for both the men's and women's basketball. I saw the Olympics.
The refs were about to make me. It's like what?
Those rules are very different. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some rules that are like so dicey, like the hitting the ball off the rim and stuff like that. I'm like, that's such a hard rule to get into like get it right. I also saw the women's soccer gold medal game between Brazil and USA. Whew, that save by the goalkeeper for USA was crisp. I'm talking about like,
I didn't get to watch that.
It was a beautiful I guess we'll call it cross chip pass from Brazil. Player was onside, timed the run perfectly on all forehead, and goalie just reflexes. And I was like, whew, what a save. Those are those saves that get you up out your seat. Those are those saves that can really get you excited, especially down the stretch of games. But no, yeah, the Olympics was so much fun. I think it was honestly my first Olympics really like locked in. Just kind of like look, no matter what it was on, like I said, whatever the sport was, I saw USA there, I was watching. Even if it wasn't USA, like to peek over my head, see how it's going. But if it was USA, I was definitely locked in for sure.
Manny, all right, we're a sports podcast, so we're required to talk about this. Especially because we didn't do anything all during we didn't do episodes during the summer when everybody else was talking about it. And now we can all look back on the Olympics and USA women's won gold. It was hard. We assumed that like they said, they truly sent the 12 best players, and that's what it took. I mean, it would be France by literally, if her toes, player, yeah. I mean, it's a different ballgame. We're going to OT. Did Team USA women's basketball make a mistake leaving Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark off of the team? My answer is yes, for maybe a different reason. But what do you think?
I think when you have a player like Sabrina Ionescu, who I believe was her first Olympics, I think that if you give that to Caitlin Clark, it's just, and again, I understand the impact that Caitlin has had on the sport, Angel Reese has had on the sport. I think they're going to be co-rookies of the year. Like I don't see a world where, because they're bringing such the overall impact of the game is the same. The views, the eyes that they've gotten on have been, Angel Reese as what she's done and being unapologetically herself. Caitlin Clark as being the face of women's college basketball last year and doing it in stride, never having a problem and just still being unapologetically herself. I think they've done that. And then on the court, they've each done their own thing in their own way. They're just two different players. So I think I understand putting them on for the growth of the game and the eyes. And I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, I think they did the right thing in not putting Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese on the team. I will say this. I think it'll probably be the last time that they're not on the team. I don't think
Yeah.
in the next 4 years, if they're not on it, then we're gonna have a different conversation.
Yeah.
But I just think with their first year, with them kind of just being new to the scene, and you having vets that, yes, well, maybe you will say Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese broke the door down. A Kelsey Plum and Asia Wilson, a Sabrina Ionescu, they are the ones that started getting the hinges off a little bit. And I think especially Sabrina, after what she did in the 3-point contest the year before with Steph, and like,
she did.
She was there. Like she was there. I think that they did the right thing. But I think it was just more of an understanding that you might not be your time now, but your time is coming for sure. So don't even worry about it.
I like what you added there at the end because it can kind of throw some water on my take. I think a big chance of growing women's sports and women's basketball is lost. And not having those two there. Look, there is not a more parallel comparison than what's happening with the WNBA than what happened with the NBA in the early 80s. It is a organization that is struggling. It has been struggling for years. And I get, Team USA, it's not directly with the WNBA, but it kind of is. Manny, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese going over there, they are unbelievably fun to watch. Them going and putting it on the national stage. And then not to mention, as far as attendance and everything, Team USA women's basketball is one of the lowest attendance of anybody. Like anybody. I think the only Puerto Rico women's basketball, and I can't remember the other country, but like that was it. Like those are the only other teams that had lower overall attendance than USA throughout the Olympics, not including the final. I didn't look those numbers up after the final, but obviously that gym was packed, so that kind of skews the numbers a little bit against the host country. Whatever. Manny, those two are the future of the sport. And I have watched more, I have thought about more, I have talked about more WNBA over the last 6 months than I have, throughout my life. And, there are a number of reasons for that. Now, of course, a big one is, me being in the world of women's sports more. I want to be immersed with my role in softball. And then, the timing of it, summer, it's like, okay, I got some free time to watch a little WNBA. Manny, they're both must-watch basketball. Like, it depends on what you like more. Caitlin Clark is what she is. I mean, you don't need me to tell you why she's exciting. Angel Reese, though, I mean, it's like watching just one of my favorite things in basketball, just a dominating big that knows how to dish it. She's triple-double machine at this point. We lost a chance for that rivalry to finally to have that come together moment. We saw it with Steph Curry and LeBron James. Manny, those two coming together and playing basketball together was the best thing I've watched on a basketball court in my life. We could have got that over at WNBA. The sport of women's basketball would have been watched much more. There's no other way to put it. More people would have watched the Olympics, Team USA Olympics. More people in France would have gone to those games, would have grown the game on a national stage. And now the next time that this happens, it'll be in LA, which is fine. I mean, there's still going to be other countries watching, but there's not going to be as many people there. This was the perfect opportunity to grow WNBA through the two ambassadors, through who are going to be the two future ambassadors. Whether you like that or you don't, that is the truth. And I've got a ton of respect for the vets in that league. It's not neat. It's probably the most difficult league to play in, because you're not getting a lot of the other things that you're getting out of the NBA, the MLB, the NFL, et cetera, et cetera. My thing is that's my thing. I mean, this was the perfect opportunity. They're rookies coming together, or they've been against each other their college career. They're rivals now. They're the face of the league. Here's that boom. There's the spark. Here's the you like these two young players. They're the face of the league for the next 15, 20 years on an international stage. That would have been the time to do it. And it wasn't what happened. Am I going to lose sleep over it? No. Do I think it was the wrong decision? Yes. But I also say they won, so who cares? And that's it.
Hey, 8 gold medals is tough. It's so, again, that level of dominance. And I was thinking about it the other day. It's just like, and that is the point that you bring. The growth of the game for women's basketball, it's growing. It is definitely growing. And once it hits that international level, that I think it's just on the cusp of,
Yep.
I think that's when things really open up, because that's what happened with the NBA. You know, yes, obviously Mike came in a perfect time once Magic and Bird had kind of revived it. But the game opened up once you got the Tony Kukocs of the world, the overseas players that allowed things to kind of happen, the Hakeem Olajuwons of the world. And then we have more international to now where, let's be real, the top 5 NBA players, they're all international. They are the international, they are the best players in the world. World champs. We can say that now. They world champs. So I'm excited for what women's basketball is going to bring. I think it's just like, I can feel it. I think everybody can feel like there's something brewing. And if they just stick with it and they hold out hope for when it does come back.
Yeah, my thing is, I don't think you can wait 4 years. I mean, the fire is so hot, and I already see it starting to, dwindle down. That fire for women's basketball. And in America, brother, let's just call it like it is. It's about football season. It's about football season. Okay? You ain't competing with that. Nobody is.
Nobody is.
I'm sorry.
There's a reason.
MLB.
There's a reason.
Can
even basketball. Like, no one looks at basketball between October and December until Christmas. Ain't nobody worried about basketball. Like, if we're being honest, ain't nobody worried about basketball. It's all football. It's all football, and especially with college football right now. Let's be real. The trend is just trending. The trend is just trending. So, college football really hit they're another one. They're another one that's just about that game has just given them a nice little jolt, and I think they're gonna be. There's gonna be an interesting season for college football for sure.
Well, we've run pretty long here. No reason to ramble on about college football. We've got plenty of time to do that. If you like those takes, if you don't like them, whatever. It is what it is. I hope you enjoyed the women's soccer preview and a little bit of Olympic talk. We're going to kick it over now on the audio side. Commissioner Dustin Wilkie on the YouTube side. We'll be back later this week with a men's soccer preview.